Roderick Hudson is a novel penned by British-American author Henry James, originally serialized in 1875 within the pages of the Atlantic Monthly before being published in a multi-volume collection by James R. Osgood and Company. The narrative unfolds as a Bildungsroman, tracing the journey of the central character as he navigates the intricacies of growth, both emotional and moral, culminating in his coming of age. The titular character, Roderick Hudson, is a sculptor whose artistic talents attract the attention and patronage of a wealthy benefactor, irrevocably altering the course of their lives and destinies. The story commences with the prosperous Boston bachelor, Rowland Mallet, making preparations for his imminent journey to Europe. During a visit to his cousin Cecilia's opulent residence, he encounters a striking sculpture that captivates his senses. Cecilia introduces him to the sculptor, a young law student named Roderick Hudson, leading to their eventual meeting. While Rowland lacks artistic aptitude himself, his appreciation for art and recognition of the transformative power of a city like Rome spur him to extend a generous offer to Roderick. He proposes to provide the young artist with a substantial sum of money to support his future sculpting endeavors and to enable his voyage to Italy, where Roderick can sustain himself for several years. This proposition elates Roderick, although he grapples with concerns regarding his devoted mother's reaction to his decision. In an effort to alleviate these concerns, Rowland arranges a meeting with Mrs. Hudson. During this pivotal encounter, Rowland succeeds in reassuring her and securing her blessing for Roderick's artistic pursuits. However, it is during this visit that Rowland crosses paths with Mary Garland, a destitute distant cousin of Roderick who serves as Mrs. Hudson's companion. In a moment of profound significance, Rowland finds himself falling in love with Mary, an experience entirely new to him. Despite his deep affection for Mary, Rowland remains reserved and reticent, concealing his sentiments as he embarks on an extensive overseas journey. He nurtures the hope that someday, he and Mary can unite and be together, quietly cherishing his unspoken love. During the Atlantic crossing, Roderick drops a bombshell on Rowland. He has proposed to Mary, asking for her hand in marriage. This revelation shatters Rowland, leaving him in disbelieving despair as he grapples with the realization that his own generosity toward Roderick has cost him the love of his life. Upon reaching Rome, Roderick initially struggles but gradually gains support and establishes himself as a gifted, albeit occasionally unconventional, figure within the local artistic community. Rowland, on the other hand, attempts to move forward from his unrequited love for Mary and begins courting Augusta Blanchard, an American artist residing in Italy. Roderick embarks on a solo exploration of Europe, while Rowland journeys to England. In a letter to Mrs. Hudson, Rowland paints a rosy picture, conveying Roderick's flourishing presence in the Italian art world. However, their paths cross again when Roderick seeks Rowland out in England, beseeching him to settle the gambling debts he accumulated in Germany. Upon their return to Rome, an enchanting young woman named Christina Light visits Roderick's studio to admire his sculptures. Despite her mother's ambitions for Christina to wed a wealthy nobleman, Roderick falls deeply in love with her. Over time, Christina reciprocates his affection. Rowland, torn by his conflicting emotions, grapples with a dilemma. He yearns to prevent the budding romance between Roderick and Christina, both out of a desire to shield Mary from further anguish and because he sees it as his sole chance to eventually unite with Mary. One fateful day, Rowland encounters Roderick and Christina at Santa Cecilia in Trastevere. Witnessing the depth of their commitment to one another, Rowland wrestles with his conscience. On one hand, he encourages Christina to sever her ties with Roderick. Simultaneously, he reaches out to his cousin Cecilia, divulging Roderick's precarious situation. In the midst of these complex relationships, Mr. Leavenworth commissions Roderick to craft a sculpture, while a prince proposes to Christina, and she accepts. When Roderick receives the news from Mr. Leavenworth, the course of their intertwined destinies takes an unexpected turn. Refusing to complete the commission for Mr. Leavenworth, Roderick and Rowland find themselves on opposing paths, leading to a rift in their friendship. However, Rowland, driven by a last-ditch effort to assist his friend, orchestrates a reunion between Roderick, Mary, and Mrs. Hudson in Italy. In an unexpected turn of events, Christina informs Roderick of her decision not to marry the prince. Deeply impressed by a sculpture crafted by her son, Mrs. Hudson expresses gratitude to Rowland for his unwavering support of Roderick. Nonetheless, Roderick remains adrift, torn between his affections for Christina and his commitment to Mary. His outbursts become more frequent and intense, casting a shadow over his emotional turmoil. During a celebration of Mr. Leavenworth and Augusta's engagement, where lingering feelings for Rowland linger, Christina arrives and insults Mary. Acting on the counsel of a friend, Rowland attempts to reason with her and encourage civil behavior. In response, Christina discloses her friendly but non-romantic sentiments toward Roderick and reveals that she indeed married the prince, devastating him. Roderick, burdened by mounting debts and an inability to sculpt, confides in his mother about his dire circumstances. The Hudson family relocates to Florence for financial reasons, but Roderick's predicament remains unchanged. Mrs. Hudson contemplates returning to Massachusetts, but Rowland persuades them to move to Switzerland instead. For a brief period, Roderick and Mary appear to grow closer, and he ceases discussing Christina with Rowland. However, an unexpected encounter with Christina and her husband leads to an invitation for Roderick to join them in Interlaken. Seeking financial assistance, he appeals to Rowland, his mother, and Mary, eventually securing the funds. As Roderick embarks on his journey to Interlaken, a tragic fate awaits him in the midst of a harsh storm. Rowland, Mary, and Mrs. Hudson return to the United States, perhaps stepping into the future that Rowland had long envisioned, leaving behind the complexities and heartaches of their intertwined past. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.